Beneath our feet lies another world, a hidden network of passageways, sealed chambers, and buried corridors stretching far beyond what most of us can imagine. For as long as humans have told stories, they've spoken of secret realms beneath the earth, places carved in darkness, used for protection, ceremony, or power. Some of these tales have been dismissed as myth. Others were buried in archives or locked away from the public eye. And yet, time and again, new discoveries force us to ask what really lies below us. Archaeology has given us glimpses. In Turkey, the vast underground city of Derinkuyu was carved deep into volcanic rock, a hidden metropolis where over 20,000 people could live, work, and worship. In the Americas, indigenous legends tell of ancient peoples who survived world-ending cataclysms by retreating into vast subterranean sanctuaries. In Russia, Mount Yamantau, sealed and heavily guarded, is believed to conceal one of the largest underground facilities ever constructed. 3 different places, 3 different stories, yet all share one truth. Humanity has always buried its secrets underground. This is not coincidence. Across continents and centuries, the Earth itself seems to hold a second history just beneath the surface. Some tunnels were dug for safety, others for worship, and some for purposes we may never fully understand. But what's most intriguing is that each new discovery doesn't solve the mystery. It deepens it. How did ancient builders carve entire underground cities using only primitive tools? Why do myths, from cultures oceans apart, all describe hidden worlds sealed beneath the surface? And why do modern governments continue to build massive subterranean networks while keeping their true purposes classified? This is not just a story of archaeology or myth or conspiracy. It is all 3 intertwined. From the labyrinths of Cappadocia to the ritual tunnels of Peru, from Tibetan legends of Agartha to the classified bunkers of the Cold War, the deeper we look, the more the pieces begin to connect. And that's where our journey begins. We're going to trace these tunnels across time and continents, through ancient ruins, legends and modern secrets, to see what picture emerges when we stop treating them as isolated phenomena. Because the truth is, the underground world has never been fully explored. And perhaps the most unsettling part is that many of these tunnels remain, sealed even today. The first undeniable proof of an ancient, hidden world came to light in Turkey during the 1960s. A man in Cappadocia was renovating his home when he knocked down a wall, and instead of solid rock, he found a tunnel. The tunnel kept going, branching into narrow corridors that led deeper underground. What he had stumbled upon was the entrance to a city that had been sealed and forgotten for centuries. That city became known as Derinkuyu, and it remains one of the greatest archaeological mysteries ever. Discovered, Derinkuyu descends nearly 280 feet below ground, spreading across 18 known levels. Archaeologists estimate that it could once have housed up to 20,000 people, complete with space for livestock, food storage, and water wells. It was, in every sense, a self-sustaining city buried beneath the earth. Its design is astonishing. Narrow tunnels open into communal halls, large enough for hundreds to gather. Circular stone doors, some weighing more than half a ton, could be rolled into place to seal sections of the city with a single push. Vertical ventilation shafts, some as deep as modern skyscrapers, brought fresh air through every level. Water wells reached down to underground aquifers. There were kitchens, wine presses, schools, and even chapels carved into the soft volcanic stone. This was not a crude shelter dug in desperation. It was an engineered masterpiece built with planning, precision, and purpose. The mystery is how it was made. Excavating even one large chamber by hand from volcanic rock would be laborious enough, but carving out millions of cubic feet of stone, reinforcing walls, and aligning dozens of ventilation shafts, all without modern tools, borders on the impossible. Modern engineers admit that replicating Derinkuyu today would be difficult even with advanced machinery. So why was it built? The accepted theory is that Derinkuyu served as a refuge, a hidden stronghold where people could survive during invasions. Cappadocia has been conquered repeatedly through history, by Persians, Byzantines, and Mongols alike. Being able to disappear underground would have offered safety and control, but that explanation raises its own questions. If it were purely defensive, why build it with such depth and complexity? Why include chapels and wineries, or design entire labyrinths with defensive choke points and rolling stone doors? Some historians suggest the city also served a spiritual or cultural purpose, a place meant to preserve belief and identity as much as life itself. Religious carvings and sanctuaries found within the rock point to ritual activity, not just survival. Others believe Derinkuyu was expanded over generations, its original builders long forgotten, with each new civilization inheriting and enlarging what they found, never fully understanding its beginnings. And then there's the secrecy. Derinkuyu wasn't lost because it collapsed. It was intentionally sealed. Its entrances were blocked with stone, its passageways closed off. For centuries, the city lay hidden just below people's homes, its existence completely erased from collective memory, until that accidental discovery in the 1960s. Even today, not all its tunnels are open. Many remain blocked, and archaeologists believe deeper levels still exist, uncharted and untouched. Local legends claim that Derinkuyu connects to other subterranean cities through tunnels stretching for miles. And Cappadocia is full of them, from Kaymakli to Uzkunak, and dozens more yet unmapped. If those stories are true, what's been uncovered so far may only be a small fraction of a vast underground network spanning the entire region. Derinkuyu may be the largest and most famous, but it is not unique. It's a single doorway into a much larger hidden world, one that continues to defy easy explanation. Its design and purpose challenge everything we think we know about ancient engineering and human history. If such a place could exist beneath one Turkish town, how many others remain sealed beneath our feet? While Cappadocia's tunnels were built for refuge, another set of hidden passageways halfway across the world was created for something far stranger. Beneath the ancient Mexican city of Teotihuacan, a place that once housed more than 100,000 people, archaeologists have uncovered a network of tunnels deliberately sealed for nearly 2,000 years. The discovery came in 2003, when heavy rains opened a sinkhole near the Temple of the Feathered Serpent. Local archaeologist Sergio Gomez descended through the opening and found not natural rock, but an entrance deliberately blocked with massive stones. When he cleared the way, he stepped into a long, winding tunnel running directly beneath the pyramid. It stretched over 330 feet, ending in a cluster of chambers hidden deep beneath the temple's core. Inside, Gomez and his team found offerings that defied explanation: jade, shells, statues, pottery, and most astonishingly, liquid mercury, shimmering in torchlight like a river of silver. The presence of mercury shocked researchers. The substance is rare, toxic, and notoriously difficult to extract. Until this discovery, no one believed ancient American civilizations had ever used it. Yet here it was, sealed beneath a pyramid. Why? Some scholars think it symbolized a sacred river of the underworld, a mirror between the realms of the living and the dead. Others believe it was part of a cosmic map, an attempt to recreate the heavens underground, with the shimmering mercury representing celestial waters. The engineering of the tunnel adds to the mystery. Its walls were lined with powdered pyrite and hematite, minerals that glitter under torchlight like stars. Spherical objects coated in reflective material were found too, possibly symbolizing planets. This wasn't a functional structure. It was a cosmic chamber, a ritual space where priests or rulers may have descended to reenact creation myths or commune with the divine. Even more haunting, the tunnel had been intentionally sealed in antiquity. Huge stones blocked the entrance, and it remained hidden for nearly 2 millennia. Whoever built it did not want it to be reopened. The secrecy extends to the city itself. Despite Teotihuacan's size and power, no royal tombs, names, or dynasties have ever been found. Unlike the Maya or Egyptians, its rulers remain anonymous. Some experts believe this was intentional, a society designed to erase individuality and enshrine cosmic order instead. Others suspect that those answers might lie beneath the surface, entombed in sealed chambers like the one Gomez uncovered. To this day, no human remains have been discovered inside the tunnels, only offerings and symbols. This raises an eerie possibility that these underground worlds were never meant to hold bodies at all, but rather to serve as portals between realities, a place for ritual, not burial. The find at Teotihuacan shattered long-held assumptions. For years, textbooks claimed that liquid mercury was unknown in the pre-Columbian world. For years, it was believed that only Egyptians or Mesopotamians built symbolic underworlds. Teotihuacan proved both claims wrong, and the deeper we look, the stranger it gets. In 2018, radar scans beneath the Pyramid of the Moon revealed what could be another vast, unexplored tunnel system. Earlier excavations under the Pyramid of the Sun found signs of a similar structure, suggesting that Teotihuacan may be honeycombed with passageways, a mirror world beneath its own streets. From Cappadocia's hidden cities to Teotihuacan's sacred tunnels, the message is the same. Humanity has always built downward, seeking safety, meaning, and maybe something far older still, waiting in the dark. Every time the story repeats itself, sealed corridors, hidden offerings, deliberate concealment of purpose. Each discovery adds another piece to a haunting pattern, a civilization obsessed with what lay beneath. In Teotihuacan, the pyramids were not simply monuments rising toward the heavens. They were gateways plunging into the earth. Above ground stretched the grand avenue of the dead, flanked by temples and palaces. Beneath it ran secret tunnels, where rivers of mercury shimmered and walls of pyrite glowed like constellations. The world below mirrored the world above, but in darkness. This duality, public splendor above, hidden ritual below, suggests a society where secrecy itself was sacred, where Derinkuyu forced us to wonder how ancient people engineered vast subterranean cities for survival. Teotihuacan compels us to ask why they engineered them for secrecy. Mercury rivers, glittering mineral walls, sealed chambers, these were not tools of defense. They were instruments of mystery, built to guard truths we still struggle to decipher. And Teotihuacan is far from alone across the world. Ancient tunnels appear ritual, defensive, or something else entirely, all sharing one trait: they were meant to remain hidden. Nowhere is that clearer than in the tunnels we turn to next. Deep in the Peruvian Andes lies Chavin de Huantar, a ceremonial center that flourished between 1200 and 500 BCE, long before the rise of the Inca. At first glance, its stone temples look like many other ancient ruins, scattered across the mountains. But below the surface lies something entirely different, a labyrinth of galleries and passageways designed not to protect, but to transform the human mind. Unlike Derinkuyu's living quarters or Teotihuacan's sealed underworld, Chavin's tunnels were engineered to manipulate sound, light, and perception. Archaeologists describe the galleries as echo chambers, labyrinths that disorient and overwhelm the senses. Some passages are so narrow that a person must squeeze sideways to move through them. Others open suddenly into broad chambers where sound ricochets and distorts. Beneath the floors, stone channels carry rushing water that roars through the dark. In this setting, darkness itself becomes an instrument. With no light and the echo of water reverberating from every wall, the space feels alive. Modern researchers tested the acoustics using replica conch shell trumpets, the same type found at the site, and discovered the effect was overwhelming. The sound amplified into deep, animal-like roars that seemed to emanate from the stone itself. Imagine descending into total darkness. guided by torchlight and sound, the walls shaking with the calls of gods or beasts. At the heart of this maze stands the Lanzon, a towering granite monolith carved with the image of a fanged deity. It sits in the innermost chamber, accessible only through twisting tunnels. Reaching it was likely the climax of an initiation rite, a journey meant to break the boundaries of ordinary consciousness. Here, architecture became a form of technology, not for shelter, but for psychological transformation. The builders of Chavin de Huantar engineered a sensory machine that could disorient, awe, and enlighten. Every sound, every flicker of light, every echo of water was designed to alter perception and open the mind to what was considered divine. Above ground, daily life went on. Markets, rituals, community. Below, in secrecy, initiates entered a different realm, where light and sound merged into a carefully orchestrated illusion. This division between upper and lower mirrored the Andean concept of duality, light and dark, order and chaos, the mortal and divine. If Derinkuyu reveals the genius of survival and Teotihuacan the power of ritual secrecy, then Chavin reveals something even more profound: architecture as a tool for transformation. These tunnels were not metaphors. They were physical experiences built to alter human consciousness, and that leads to a deeper question. If ancient builders could use tunnels to manipulate perception, could the world's enduring myths of underground realms, hidden kingdoms, sacred underworlds, and cities of light be more than symbolism? Could they be distorted memories of places deliberately designed to change how people experienced reality itself? The tunnels of Chavin de Huantar show us the underground as a place of transformation. But some traditions describe something even grander: entire worlds sealed beneath the surface of the earth. In the early 20th century, Polish explorer Ferdynand Ossendowski traveled through Central Asia and published Beasts, Men and Gods, recounting a tale told to him by Mongolian lamas. They spoke of Agartha, a vast subterranean realm entered through secret tunnels in remote deserts and mountains. According to their teachings, Agartha was ruled by a mysterious king of the world whose influence reached the surface through unseen forces. It was said to be illuminated by its own energy, sustained by ancient technology and wisdom from a forgotten age. The story sounds like legend, an underground kingdom of eternal light and hidden rulers, but it echoes other traditions too closely to dismiss. Tibetan Buddhism speaks of Shambhala, another concealed realm of enlightenment, hidden beyond ordinary geography. Some say it lies high in the Himalayas. Others claim it exists in another dimension, accessible only to the worthy. Both Agartha and Shambhala share the same imagery: gateways hidden in mountains, a radiant inner land, and sages who guide humanity from below. These tales later inspired the 19th and 20th century hollow earth theory, the idea that vast inner spaces might exist within the planet, connected to the surface by tunnels at the poles or other hidden entrances. Within these caverns, some claimed, advanced civilizations survived ancient cataclysms or continued to thrive in isolation, unknown to the modern world, though mainstream science dismisses such ideas. The fascination persists, and its reach is global. From South America to Asia, from Europe to North America, legends tell of hidden peoples beneath the earth, glowing inner lands, guardians of lost knowledge and doorways into the unknown. Cultures separated by oceans tell stories that echo one another. Even if we set aside the notion of a hollow earth, the persistence of these stories reveals something powerful. Humanity has always imagined the underground not as emptiness, but as a source of hidden power, a place where gods sleep, ancestors wait, and forbidden knowledge endures. And these myths aren't confined to the old world. Some of the most detailed and enduring come from the Americas. Among the Hopi of the American Southwest, one of the most sacred teachings is the story of the emergence. Long ago, humanity lived in a world beneath the surface. When that world was destroyed by flood and fire, Spiritual guides led the Hopi ancestors upward through a narrow opening into the light of the present world. That passage, called the Seppuku, is still honored in Hopi ritual chambers today, symbolizing the portal between worlds and reminding the people of their descent from those who once lived below. Similar themes run through other indigenous traditions. The Navajo speak of earlier worlds destroyed by chaos and renewal. The Cherokee tell of hidden peoples who dwell underground, surfacing only rarely. The Mandan people of the northern plains recall their ancestors climbing from an underworld through a great opening in the earth. Across these stories, separated by geography and language, the pattern repeats. Humanity shelters below the earth, survives catastrophe, and emerges to rebuild the world. When placed beside archaeology, these myths gain new resonance. The Hopi say their ancestors survived underground until it was safe to return. In Turkey, Derinkuyu proves that entire populations really did carve vast refuges beneath the ground. Myth and stone reflect one another. Maybe these stories aren't pure fiction. Maybe they are cultural memories, echoes of real events preserved across millennia. Oral traditions can change, but they preserve patterns: survival in darkness, guardians below, rebirth into the light, and perhaps that's the thread connecting them all, from Cappadocia to Mexico, from Peru to the Hopi Mesas. The underground isn't just a place, it's a symbol of transformation, survival, and hidden truth, a reminder that beneath every world we know, another might still be waiting. Legends of emergence may well be blurred memories of real survival, fragments of ancient strategies retold as myth. If oral histories speak of underground refuges, and archaeology confirms their existence in places like Turkey and Mexico, then logic suggests there must be more, hidden, forgotten, or erased. Some may lie beneath farmland or mountains, their entrances buried by time, their stories lost. And few discoveries illustrate that better than what happened in China in 1992. That year, a group of farmers near the village of Xi'an decided to drain a pond that had sat quietly for generations. The locals assumed it was natural, a shallow basin that filled each year with rainwater. But when the water finally receded, the earth revealed something astonishing: a carved stone staircase descending into darkness. Beneath the pond lay the entrance to a vast man-made cavern. And it wasn't alone. Over the next several years, explorers found more than 24 interconnected chambers, now known collectively as the Longyu Caves, one of the most extraordinary subterranean complexes ever discovered. Each chamber is enormous, with high vaulted ceilings and smooth geometric walls marked by precise parallel chisel lines. Together, they represent one of the greatest enigmas in Chinese archaeology, a feat of engineering so vast it defies explanation, and yet no historical record mentions it at all. The scale alone is staggering. Some chambers soar to heights of 100 feet and stretch wide enough to hold entire aircraft hangars. The walls are perfectly flat, the corners sharply cut. Every inch of stone bears the rhythmic grooves of tools, as though hundreds of artisans had worked in synchronized unison. Modern engineers estimate that carving out the caves required removing more than 1 million cubic meters of rock, an impossible effort for the technology available over 2,000 years ago. And yet, the caves exist, silent, empty, and eerily untouched. Dating the site has proven nearly impossible. Most researchers place its creation around the early Qin or Han dynasties, roughly 2 millennia ago, but not a single written record, inscription, or oral tradition describes their construction. Ancient China was renowned for meticulous documentation. Even small infrastructure projects were logged in detail. So how could a work of this magnitude simply vanish from history? Theories abound. Some suggest the caves were ancient quarries, abandoned once their stone was extracted. But if that were true, why finish the walls with decorative uniform patterns instead of leaving them rough? And why is there no rubble, no debris, no trace of tools or habitation? Others propose the chambers served a ceremonial or royal function, perhaps tombs or temples, but no carvings, burials, or artifacts have ever been found. The purpose remains unknown. Many of the caves remain partially flooded, their lower chambers submerged in opaque green water. What lies beneath the surface, whether carvings, artifacts, or further passageways, remains a mystery, locked away beneath the stagnant pools. Without full excavation, the deeper secrets of Longyu are literally underwater. The most unsettling part is the deliberate silence. In a civilization that chronicled everything, the total absence of documentation suggests intentional erasure. If the caves were simple quarries or shelters, why was every mention of them removed? It's as though the builders, whoever they were, wanted their work forgotten. Whether that was to conceal sacred knowledge, protect a hidden purpose, or because the builders themselves disappeared, no one can say. What is undeniable is that the Longyu caves should not exist, at least not within the limits of what we think ancient technology could achieve. Yet they do, carved in flawless geometry, waiting in darkness beneath a drained pond. The caves pose a difficult question. Could ancient civilizations have possessed techniques or understandings that we no longer grasp? Were they architectural experiments, vast ritual sanctuaries, or refuges built for cataclysmic times? Or were they created for reasons so foreign to our experience that we fail to recognize them, even when staring straight at the evidence? The Longyu discovery is a warning about the incompleteness of history. It reminds us that even in one of the most thoroughly recorded civilizations on Earth, entire projects of monumental scale can vanish from the human record. If something as massive as this could disappear so completely, what else might lie buried beneath our feet, hidden under lakes, hills, or farmland, waiting to be stumbled upon by accident? If the Longyu caves show how humans can carve entire worlds underground and erase them from memory, Mammoth Cave in Kentucky shows what nature itself can create, an underground universe so vast that it redefines the scale of the unknown. Stretching over 420 miles of mapped passageways, Mammoth Cave is the largest known cave system on Earth, and explorers believe that is only a fraction of its total length. Some estimate it could reach 600 miles or more, a labyrinth so immense it defies imagination. Picture a network of tunnels stretching from London to Paris, twisting endlessly through darkness. That is Mammoth Cave. Its passages range from broad, cathedral-sized halls to narrow, claustrophobic tunnels where explorers must crawl inch by inch. Some chambers soar so high their ceilings vanish into shadow. Others drop into pits that swallow light entirely. The silence is broken only by the sound of dripping water and the echo of footsteps fading into infinity. Human history runs deep here too. Indigenous peoples explored parts of the cave thousands of years ago, leaving behind torches, woven sandals, and mummified remains preserved in the dry air. In the 19th century, miners harvested saltpeter from its depths for gunpowder. Later came tourists, drawn not just by the cave's immensity, but by its aura of danger and legend. Guides spoke of ghostly lights flickering in distant tunnels, and winds rushing from sealed chambers as if the cave itself were breathing. Some tales were tragically real. In 1925, caver Floyd Collins became trapped in a narrow passage while exploring a side tunnel. For 2 weeks, rescuers tried to reach him as newspapers around the world covered the drama. In the end, Collins died where he was wedged, his body never recovered. His story turned Mammoth Cave into a symbol of both human ambition and the merciless depth of the underground. Even today, seasoned cavers describe the system with awe and unease. In total darkness, when lamps are extinguished, the silence becomes absolute. The mind begins to invent sounds and shapes, and it feels as if the cave itself is alive. Mammoth doesn't descend vertically like Georgia's Veryovkina Cave, the deepest in the world, but its sheer horizontal sprawl is equally terrifying. Here the danger isn't falling, it's getting lost. Corridors twist until all sense of direction dissolves. Without a map, one wrong turn can mean wandering for miles, trapped in a maze without end. For all our satellites and sensors, much of Mammoth Cave remains untouched. Entire branches are sealed, some for safety, others because no one has yet explored them. What lies beyond is unknown. Undiscovered species, ancient human relics, or massive hidden chambers waiting in the dark. Mammoth Cave proves that the underground world isn't just a product of human design. It's part of Earth's nature. Beneath the surface lies an ecosystem of secrecy, endless corridors, hidden rivers, and spaces that defy exploration. The planet itself keeps its mysteries close, and if natural geology can create a world this vast, how much more could humanity build when secrecy is the goal? Because underground networks are not relics of the past, they are still being built. In northern China, one of the largest subterranean systems ever constructed wasn't made thousands of years ago, but within living memory. Known as the Underground Great Wall, it is believed to stretch over 3,000 miles, longer than the continental United States. Built by the People's Liberation Army Rocket Force, its purpose is simple but monumental: to hide, move, and protect China's nuclear arsenal. What lies inside is shrouded in secrecy. Satellite images and leaked reports suggest enormous reinforced tunnels, disguised entrances camouflaged as hillsides, and vast corridors where missile transporters move unseen. Analysts believe the network links storage bunkers, launch bays, and command centers buried deep beneath the earth, some large enough to house entire underground cities. The scale of the engineering defies comprehension. Digging thousands of miles of tunnel through mountain rock would require fleets of boring machines, decades of effort, and an immense budget. Officially, China claims the system is defensive, built to guarantee nuclear deterrence in case of attack. Unofficially, its true extent and purpose remain classified. U.S. intelligence analysts estimate that hundreds, perhaps thousands of nuclear warheads could be hidden within the underground Great Wall, far more than China publicly declares. With such mobility and concealment, its missiles could be moved and launched from countless hidden sites, making detection almost impossible. Occasional glimpses confirm its reality. In 2009, Chinese state television briefly aired footage showing missile carriers rolling through subterranean corridors, proof of the network's existence. But beyond that, everything else is speculation. The message, however, is clear. The age of underground secrecy is not over. Whether carved in stone or engineered in reinforced steel, the world below remains a realm of power. Mystery and silence, still expanding, still hidden, and still far from fully understood. For years, analysts had long suspected what the brief television clip seemed to confirm. Beyond those few seconds of footage, almost nothing more has been disclosed. Western researchers have tried to map the system through satellite imagery, but what they've pieced together are only fragments, disconnected hints of something far larger. The true scale and capacity of China's underground Great Wall remain hidden. The comparisons are striking. Derinkuyu sheltered 20,000 people beneath the volcanic soil of Turkey. Mammoth Cave stretches for hundreds of miles under Kentucky's limestone. But China's underground fortress surpasses them all, both in length and in purpose. It isn't a relic of survival or a wonder of nature. It's a living machine, a modern fortress carved in silence to conceal weapons capable of ending life on the surface. And that continuity across history is telling. Thousands of years ago, people sealed themselves underground to survive floods or invasions. Today, nations seal away their most destructive arsenals. The instinct is the same. When the stakes are highest, power is hidden below. What lies inside China's subterranean network will likely never be seen by the public. Entrances are disguised, maps are classified, and new branches are continually added. Yet what little is known already proves one thing: even in an age of satellites, digital surveillance, and global transparency, the most significant secrets can still vanish from sight if they are buried deep enough. Far to the north, in the rugged Ural Mountains of Russia, rises a peak with an ordinary face and an extraordinary reputation. From a distance, Mount Yamantau looks like any other mountain, a forested massif surrounded by small towns. But for decades, intelligence agencies, declassified imagery, and whispered reports have pointed to something far stranger. Beneath Yamantau, they say, lies one of the most secret and heavily fortified underground complexes ever constructed. The story surfaced in the 1990s, as the Soviet Union dissolved and Russia began to rebuild. American satellites had been watching the site for years, detecting massive excavation projects, new highways, and rail lines driven straight into the mountain. Entire towns sprang up around the site to house workers. The scale of construction rivaled the largest industrial efforts of the Cold War, yet the Russian government offered no clear explanation. When questioned, officials gave contradictory answers. Sometimes they said it was a mining operation, other times a food storage facility, or even a vault for the treasures of the Russian people. But none of those claims matched the reality visible from above. Mines don't require multi-track railways or thousands of laborers excavating chambers large enough to be detected from orbit. The contradictions only deepened the mystery. American analysts reached their own conclusion. Yamantau was no mine. It was a continuity of government bunker, built to survive nuclear war. During the Cold War, both the US and the USSR created deep command centers to ensure leadership could endure a first strike. But Yamantau's scale seemed unprecedented, more a hidden city than a shelter. Some reports claimed it could support tens of thousands of people, store nuclear weapons, and operate independently for years. What made Yamantau even more alarming was the timing. Construction continued throughout the 1990s, even as Russia's economy collapsed and government projects were abandoned nationwide. Why was this one mountain still receiving unlimited funding? Why did it matter so much that it survived when nearly everything else was falling apart? First-hand accounts from nearby residents describe heavy military presence and total secrecy. Whole towns were off-limits to outsiders, roads were blocked by checkpoints, and locals were warned never to ask questions. Those who worked on the project reportedly lived in closed cities, their movements restricted, their lives revolving around the mountain. Satellite photos confirmed what locals suspected. Enormous piles of excavated rock appeared outside the mountain, evidence of continuous tunneling. Rail lines entered directly into the hillside, implying massive infrastructure within. Analysts estimated the underground complex could stretch over 400 square miles, with capacity for 60,000 people or more. If true, Yamantau isn't just a bunker, it's an entire subterranean metropolis, sealed from the world, prepared for a future no one wants to imagine. To this day, Russia offers no consistent explanation. Western intelligence has never confirmed what lies inside. Mount Yamantau remains one of the most classified and closely guarded sites on Earth, its purpose as obscure as ever. Some say it's a survival complex for national leadership. Others believe it hides nuclear stockpiles or even advanced research. The most speculative theories suggest something far more extreme, facilities designed for weapons or experiments too dangerous to exist anywhere else. Whatever the truth, the secrecy is absolute. Unlike ancient ruins where time erases evidence, Yamantau's silence is intentional, actively maintained, guarded, and enforced. It proves that the underground is still a living frontier of power and control, where the unknown is protected not by history, but by design. And yet, even with all the reports, the satellite imagery, and the speculation, the strangest claims about what lies beneath the surface don't come from governments at all. They come from those who say they've been there. Few stories illustrate this more vividly than that of Phil Schneider and the alleged Dulce base in New Mexico. Schneider, a geological engineer, claimed to have worked on deep underground construction projects for the US government in the 1970s. But his account was unlike any other. In public talks during the 1990s, Schneider described a hidden facility beneath the remote Mesa near Dulce. He claimed it was part of a vast network of DUMS, deep underground military bases, connected by high-speed tunnels crisscrossing the country. These bases, he said, were not just storage depots or command bunkers, but research centers for projects too secret and controversial to exist above ground. Then came his most shocking claim, that during an excavation, workers accidentally broke into a pre-existing cavern and encountered non-human entities already occupying it. According to Schneider, a violent confrontation followed. He said he was injured by an unknown weapon that left severe burns on his chest and hand, and that dozens of soldiers and engineers were killed. After that, he claimed, the base became a joint facility shared between human and non-human occupants. Schneider's accounts described scenes worthy of science fiction, laboratories conducting genetic experiments, tanks filled with unknown biological material, and lower levels accessible only to those with high security clearance. The deeper the level, he said, the more bizarre the work became, until science and myth blurred into one. No hard evidence has ever surfaced to verify these claims. There are no official records, no photos, no documents confirming the existence of the Dulce base. Authorities dismiss the story as fabrication. Yet the legend persists because it fits a pattern. Governments do build underground networks in secret. They do conduct experiments shielded from public scrutiny. And they do classify facilities so deeply that even their budgets vanish into black operations. If those are the facts we know, then how much more could remain hidden? Even among locals in Dulce, rumors have endured for decades. Residents speak of strange lights hovering above the mesa, the low hum of machinery underground, and unmarked helicopters flying at night. Whether these are coincidences, misinterpretations, or fragments of something real, they keep the mystery alive. Schneider's credibility has been questioned many times. His story changed in places, and skeptics note that his wounds could have been from more ordinary accidents. But supporters point to the way his life ended. In 1996, he was found dead in his apartment, officially ruled a suicide. His family and followers insist otherwise, claiming he was silenced for revealing too much. Whether his story is fact, fiction, or a mixture of both, it endures because it resonates with something deep in human history, the recurring truth that the most powerful secrets are kept below the surface. From Derinkuyu to Teotihuacan, from Chavindehuantar to Mount Yamantau, every tunnel, chamber, and bunker tells the same story. The underground has always been where humanity hides what it cannot control, what it fears, or what it treasures most. In ancient times, people carved sanctuaries to survive floods and wars. In modern times, nations dig fortresses to protect weapons and leaders. And if even a fraction of stories like Schneider's are true, perhaps some dig far deeper, for reasons the rest of us were never meant to know. We've followed these tunnels across continents, from Turkey's volcanic plains to the jungles of Mexico, from Peru's sacred labyrinths to the mountains of Russia and the deserts of New Mexico. Some are archaeological marvels, others strategic fortresses, and a few perhaps something stranger. Together, they form one unbroken thread through time. The underground is where humanity hides its greatest secrets. Cities, weapons, knowledge, even myths, all buried in darkness, sealed away from the light above. Now the question is yours. Do you believe stories like Dulce Base are mere legend, or echoes of a truth governments would never admit? And if they are real, how much of our history, or even our present, still lies hidden beneath our feet? Let us know what you think in the comments. And if you want to keep exploring the unseen world below, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. The next journey might change everything you thought you knew about what lies beneath. Beneath our feet lies another world, a world of hidden passageways, sealed chambers, and buried corridors that stretch farther than most of us could ever imagine. Since the dawn of storytelling, humans have whispered about tunnels beneath the earth, secret spaces carved in darkness for refuge, ritual, or power. Some of these tales were dismissed as legends, others were buried in archives, and a few remain off-limits even now. But time and again, discoveries force us to ask the same question: what is really down there? Archaeology has offered only fragments of the truth. In Turkey, the vast underground city of Derinkuyu was carved deep into the rock, a place where over 20,000 people could live, hide, and survive. In the Americas, indigenous legends tell of hidden peoples who endured cataclysms by retreating into the depths. And in Russia, Mount Yamantau stands over the Urals, its slopes guarded and sealed, concealing what many believe is one of the largest underground facilities ever built. Three very different places, three very different stories. Yet all point toward the same truth: humanity has always turned to the underground to keep its secrets. This is no coincidence. Across cultures and across centuries, the Earth itself seems to hold another layer of history just below the surface. Some tunnels were carved to preserve life, others for ceremony, and some for reasons that may never be understood. The deeper we dig, the stranger the pattern becomes. How did ancient builders carve entire cities with nothing but primitive tools? Why do myths from across the world describe the same thing? Hidden realms, sealed beneath the ground, waiting. And why, even today, do governments continue to build massive subterranean networks while denying what they're really for? This isn't just a story about archaeology, or myth, or conspiracy. It's all three colliding. From the labyrinths of Cappadocia to the ritual tunnels of Peru, from Tibetan legends of Agartha to Cold War bunkers buried beneath the earth, the deeper you look, the more the pieces begin to connect. And that's where our journey begins. We're going to trace these tunnels through ancient ruins, world myths, and modern secrecy to see what picture emerges when we stop treating them as isolated mysteries. Because the truth is, the underground has never been fully explored. And perhaps the most chilling part is this: some of these tunnels are still sealed today. The first solid glimpse of this hidden world came by accident in Turkey during the 1960s. In the region of Cappadocia, a man renovating his home knocked down a wall expecting stone and found a tunnel. It kept going, twisting into the earth. What he had uncovered was not just a passage, but the entrance to an entire underground city that had been sealed for centuries and forgotten by history. Today, we know this place as Derinkuyu. It plunges nearly 280 feet below the surface, spanning 18 known levels. Archaeologists estimate that it once housed up to 20,000 people, families, livestock, food stores, and water supplies, all hidden underground. In scale, it was a small town, but buried entirely beneath the earth. The city's design is astonishing. Narrow corridors open into wide halls. Circular stone doors, some weighing more than half a ton, were built to seal off sections at a moment's notice. Deep ventilation shafts cut through multiple layers, still circulating fresh air after thousands of years. Wells reached underground water sources. There were kitchens, storage rooms, wine presses, and even chapels, all carved into volcanic rock. This wasn't a crude shelter. It was an engineered city designed to sustain life for months, maybe years. The mystery is not just why it was built, but how. Carving one small chamber in volcanic rock is simple. Excavating millions of cubic feet of stone, aligning ventilation shafts, reinforcing chambers, and doing it all with hand tools is almost beyond belief. Historians believe Derinkuyu was first excavated around the first millennium BCE and expanded over generations. But the precision of its architecture and the scale of the excavation remain difficult to explain. Modern engineers admit that replicating it today, even with advanced tools, would be a challenge. The accepted theory is that Derinkuyu served as a refuge. Cappadocia was repeatedly invaded by Persians, Byzantines, and Mongols, and the ability to vanish underground would have been a powerful defense. From that perspective, it was a giant bunker, a sanctuary where tens of thousands could outlast danger above. Yet that explanation leaves unanswered questions. Why the depth? Why the intricate planning? Why build chapels and wineries if the goal was only short-term shelter? Why seal off tunnels with precision-engineered stone doors unless secrecy itself was part of the design? Some researchers believe the city was not just a refuge, but a spiritual sanctuary, a place to preserve culture and belief, not merely life. The presence of religious spaces suggests that faith and ceremony were as essential as food and air. Others propose that Derinkuyu was inherited and expanded by generations who no longer understood its original purpose, its true meaning already fading into myth. And then there's the matter of secrecy. Derinkuyu wasn't discovered because it collapsed, it was sealed. For centuries, no one above even knew it existed. Even today, many of its passageways remain blocked, and archaeologists suspect there are deeper, unmapped levels. Local lore claims the tunnels run for miles, connecting Derinkuyu to other underground cities across Cappadocia. If that's true, then what we've uncovered so far is only a fragment of something far larger, a buried network spanning miles of volcanic plain. Derinkuyu may be the most famous, but it's not alone. Other sites like Kaymaklı and dozens more dot the region, some sprawling, others small. Many are close enough that it's difficult to believe they were isolated projects. The possibility that these cities are linked by vast hidden tunnels cannot be dismissed. Derinkuyu may not be the beginning of the story. It may be a doorway into a much deeper one. While Cappadocia's tunnels sheltered the living, in Mexico, subterranean passageways beneath ancient pyramids were sealed with something stranger, something meant to imitate the cosmos itself. Beneath the ruins of Teotihuacan, a city that once housed more than 100,000 people, archaeologists have uncovered a network of tunnels deliberately hidden for nearly 2,000 years. The most famous discovery came in 2003, when heavy rains opened a sinkhole near the base of the Temple of the Feathered Serpent. When local archaeologist Sergio Gomez descended into the opening, he found the entrance blocked by enormous stones. Once inside, he realized he was walking through a tunnel that ran directly beneath the pyramid, stretching 330 feet, ending in a series of sealed chambers at its heart. What Gomez and his team found inside was astonishing. The tunnel contained thousands of ritual objects, jade, shells, pottery, and strange figurines. But the most haunting discovery was the presence of liquid mercury pooled in the chambers, shimmering under torchlight like rivers of silver. Why would an ancient civilization transport and seal mercury underground? The substance is rare and toxic, and mining it would have required immense effort. Until this discovery, scholars believed mercury wasn't even used in the Americas. Some archaeologists suggest the mercury symbolized an underworld river, reflecting the boundary between life and death. Others believe the entire tunnel was built as a cosmic replica, a miniature universe where priests performed creation rituals in darkness. The walls themselves were coated in pyrite and hematite, minerals that sparkle like stars. Under torchlight, the effect would have been otherworldly, a sky of glittering gold and red suspended underground. This was not a bunker or a refuge. It was a sacred underworld, a physical manifestation of belief. The secrecy was deliberate. The tunnel had been sealed with massive stones in antiquity, its entrance hidden for nearly 2 millennia. Whoever closed it intended for it to remain untouched forever. Even the city above it is filled with unanswered questions. Despite its size and influence, Teotihuacan left behind no royal inscriptions, no named rulers. Unlike the Maya, its leaders remain anonymous. Some scholars suggest power was shared among priestly elites. Others think the secrecy extended to erasing individual identities altogether. Perhaps the rulers were not meant to be remembered by name, but by what they built below. Despite decades of excavation, no tombs have been found in the tunnels, only offerings and symbols. Maybe the tunnels weren't tombs at all, but ritual landscapes, sealed forever after the ceremonies ended, leaving only mercury and glittering minerals to hint at what had taken place. Teotihuacan's discovery shattered long-held assumptions about the ancient Americas. For generations, textbooks claimed that complex symbolic underworlds were the domain of Egypt or Mesopotamia. Yet here was proof that ancient Mesoamerica had built its own, an engineered reflection of the cosmos hidden beneath one of the largest cities of the ancient world. And Teotihuacan isn't alone. Radar scans beneath the Pyramid of the Moon in 2018 revealed what may be another unexplored tunnel system. Earlier work in the 1970s found yet another beneath the Pyramid of the Sun. Each time, the pattern repeats: sealed passages, deliberate concealment, and a mystery that refuses to fade. Each discovery forces us to ask again, what else might be hidden below? Every time the story repeats itself: sealed corridors, hidden offerings, and a clear intent to conceal whatever purpose these places once served. Taken together, these discoveries reveal a civilization deeply preoccupied with the underworld. The pyramids of Teotihuacan were not only monuments reaching toward the heavens, they were also gateways descending into the earth. Above ground stretched the Avenue of the Dead, flanked by towering temples and plazas. Below ground, secret tunnels mirrored the cosmos, with rivers of mercury and walls that glittered like starlight. This duality, public spectacle above, hidden ritual below, suggests a society where secrecy was inseparable from power. While Derinkuyu forces us to wonder how ancient people engineered vast subterranean cities for survival, Teotihuacan compels us to ask why they engineered theirs for secrecy. Rivers of mercury, walls dusted with pyrite, and chambers sealed for eternity, these were not tools of defense. They were instruments of mystery, built to preserve knowledge, rituals, or truths we still cannot fully comprehend. And Teotihuacan is far from alone. Across the world, other civilizations carved tunnels and chambers whose true purposes remain unknown. Some were built for refuge, others for worship, and others for reasons we can only guess at. What unites them is not just their construction, but their concealment. The effort to hide, seal, and bury them was deliberate, and nowhere is that more evident than at the next site. If Derinkuyu showed us tunnels built to preserve life, and Teotihuacan revealed tunnels crafted to preserve secrets, Chavin de Huantar, in the Peruvian Andes, offers something stranger still: tunnels built to transform the human mind, dating to around 1200–500 BCE. Long before the rise of the Inca, Chavin was a ceremonial center unlike any other. Its surface temples resemble many ancient sites of the Andes, but beneath them lies a maze of stone galleries and passageways engineered with astonishing precision. These tunnels were not meant to house people or protect rulers. They were designed to manipulate sound, light, and perception itself. Archaeologists describe the underground galleries as echo chambers and sensory traps. Some passages are so narrow a person must crawl through them. Others expand into chambers where sound ricochets wildly. Beneath the floors, channels of rushing water create a deep, continuous roar. In total darkness, surrounded by echoing noise, the space feels alive, like a living organism breathing around you. Researchers have demonstrated just how intentional this design was. When conch-shell trumpets, musical instruments found at the site, were played inside the tunnels, the sound transformed. It reverberated through the stone in booming, animal-like roars. Imagine being a pilgrim, descending into that darkness, disoriented, deafened, and awestruck as the walls seemed to speak with the voices of gods. At the heart of the labyrinth stands the Lanzon, a towering granite monolith carved with the fierce image of a fanged deity. It lies hidden deep within the galleries, accessible only after navigating the twisting tunnels. Reaching it would have marked the climax of an initiation, an ordeal of sound, darkness, and fear that prepared the initiate for contact with the divine. Chavin's underground world was not about protection or storage. It was architecture as transformation, a sensory technology designed to alter consciousness. The builders created an environment that reshaped human perception through acoustics, darkness, and water. This was a structure meant not to house the body, but to transcend it. Much of Chavin's symbolism is built on dualities: light and dark, above and below, order and chaos. Life unfolded in the plazas above ground, but the true mysteries were reserved for those who descended below. The tunnels represented a threshold between the human and divine worlds, where transformation took place beyond the reach of ordinary senses. If Derinkuyu embodied survival and Teotihuacan secrecy, Chavin de Huanta represents transformation, the deliberate use of underground space to change how people perceived reality itself. These weren't metaphors carved in stone. They were mechanisms of revelation built to evoke awe and fear, and it raises a profound question. If the tunnels at Chavin could change perception, could the ancient myths of hidden worlds, of underworlds, secret kingdoms, and subterranean realms be rooted in real places designed to produce such experiences? Could they be cultural memories of encounters with engineered environments meant to blur the boundary between human and divine? The idea of entire worlds beneath our feet appears not only in archaeology, but in legend. In the early 20th century, Polish explorer Ferdynand Ossendowski traveled through Central Asia and later published Beasts, Men and Gods, recounting a story he heard from Mongolian lamas, a story of a vast subterranean kingdom known as Agartha. According to their accounts, Agartha was an invisible empire, reached through tunnels hidden in deserts and mountains, ruled by a king of the world, whose influence reached the surface through unseen forces. The realm was said to glow with its own light, powered by technologies and wisdom preserved from a forgotten age. At first glance, it sounds like myth, but the details echo other traditions. Tibetan Buddhism tells of Shambhala, another hidden kingdom of enlightenment concealed beyond ordinary geography. Some accounts place it deep in the Himalayas. Others describe it as a hidden dimension, accessible only to the pure of heart. Both Agartha and Shambhala speak of concealed entrances, eternal light, and rulers watching from below, a parallel too strong to ignore. By the 19th and 20th centuries, these stories merged into a theory that the Earth itself might be hollow. According to hollow Earth proponents, vast inner realms could exist within the planet, connected to the surface through tunnels at the poles or through secret gateways scattered across the world. In these caverns, entire civilizations might survive, remnants of earlier epochs or entirely different beings unknown to modern humanity. While science has long dismissed such claims, the persistence of these myths across cultures remains striking. From Asia to South America to North America, legends tell of hidden peoples beneath the ground, of glowing cities and powerful guardians who dwell below. Cultures separated by oceans and centuries somehow describe the same themes: hidden entrances, radiant light and secret knowledge buried underfoot. Even if taken symbolically, these stories reveal a shared human intuition. The underground is not simply darkness, it is power, mystery, and transformation. Whether or not Agartha or Shambhala ever existed, the stories endure because they touch something deep in our collective imagination. Nowhere is this more evident than in the Americas, where the theme of hidden worlds beneath the surface appears again and again. For the Hopi people of the American Southwest, one of the most sacred teachings is the emergence, the belief that humanity once lived in an underworld before climbing upward through a small opening to reach the surface. That portal, called the Sipapu, is still represented in Hopi underground ceremonial chambers. It symbolizes the threshold between this world and the one below, the place from which humanity emerged. According to Hopi tradition, previous worlds were destroyed by floods, fire, and ice. Only a few survived by taking refuge beneath the earth until it was safe to return. The pattern of destruction and renewal, the movement from darkness to light, appears again and again in indigenous American stories. The Navajo tell of earlier worlds that ended in disaster, with humans passing upward through layers of existence until reaching the present one. The Cherokee speak of hidden peoples who dwell below the mountains, rarely seen but still present. The Mandan tell of ancestors who climbed from a subterranean world through a great opening in the earth, across tribes and territories. Separated by geography and language, the message is the same. Humanity endured catastrophe by retreating into the earth. When placed beside the evidence of underground refuges like Dirinkuyu, these stories take on new weight. Perhaps they are not just metaphors, but distant memories of real survival, echoes of a time when going underground meant living through the end of a world. Oral traditions may not preserve literal history, but they often preserve patterns, the motifs of survival in darkness, guidance by otherworldly beings, and eventual return to light mirror what archaeology has already revealed, that ancient people were capable of carving immense subterranean sanctuaries. And so, across continents, the same themes repeat. In Asia, the myths of Agartha and Shambhala speak of hidden kingdoms beneath mountains. In the Americas, the Hopi and other nations tell of ancestors emerging from subterranean realms after cataclysm. In both, the underground is a place of refuge, transformation, and renewal. Archaeologists may see these as symbolic cycles, but the line between myth and reality grows thinner with every discovery. Beneath us lies a world humanity has never fully mapped, a realm that has always held our secrets, our fears, and perhaps the oldest truths of all.